If you only ever did things you don't want to do, you'd only ever have everything you'd ever wanted. If you can overcome procrastination and internal resistance through the cultivating of courage, you will, in return, get everything you want in life. Because on the other side of the things you don't want to do are the biggest riches. They're the biggest lessons. They're the biggest gifts. But you have to be willing to get on the other side of them, which most people are not. Most people are not in the business of wanting to cultivate courage to overcome. They are in the business of staying comfortable and not exiting that comfort area. Because as soon as they get to the edges of it, they let the fear overcome them and they forget that they have to cultivate courage. And the first tool that I gave was that it was all about leveraging imperfection. Now, I'm sure you guys are asking, like, what the fuck is leveraging imperfection, right? Leveraging imperfection is making sure that you utilize action when you have an imperfect amount of information. Let me say this again. You are leveraging action when you have an imperfect amount of information. Colin Powell said this best. He is well renowned for his leadership. And he said he makes a decision with no less than 40% of the information he believes is necessary. And he makes a decision with no more than 70%. I fucking love this quote because it epitomizes the high quality leader that he was, which was he was an action taker and a decision maker. That, in the epitome of everything, is what a leader is supposed to do, because everybody else is sitting around looking, wondering what the fuck is supposed to happen. They're wondering, where the fuck are we supposed to go? What the fuck is supposed to get done? But real leaders step up and say, oh, yeah, I'm not asking that question. I'm actually looking at where we need to go. And I'm saying, follow me. I got this. And they have it by saying, I'm going to lead the way and you guys are going to fill in the support as we go along. And I'm going to clearly communicate and give you guys the information you need so that we can collectively get to the end goal. But that decision is not made with 100% of the information available for that scenario. And it pretty much never can be, because you can never predict the environment that is going to shape before you after you make the first decision. Right? So what he says is he basically makes his decision-making process through between that 40 and 70%. If he has a minimum of 40%, he is making a decision and acting on it. He is taking in consideration the known information and the known consequences that happen from a decision made based off that information. And then he's saying, okay, I'm going to act, or we are going to let this one go away and we are going to refocus somewhere else. And conversely, if he has an abundance of information and he is closer to the 70% of the information he needs, he is not searching for the other 30% before he makes a decision. And this is going to go into the next tool. What that is doing is that is preventing him from going into procrastination and internal resistance, which is what most people do. I hear this so often. I'm a perfectionist. No, you are a procrastinator. You are an insecure procrastinator. And if that offends you, do some journaling work. That is the truth. You are not a leader. You are an insecure procrastinator, and you allow internal resistance to govern your decision-making process. That is not a leader. That is a follower, right? And I don't care if you've built a successful business, even though you're this person. It will not sustain itself, and you will not have success for longevity. I don't say that to scare you. I say that to give you a realistic picture of what a good leader does not do. And if you're sitting in that boat and saying, wow, Johnny, I've made it and I'm seem pretty successful right now, motherfucker. Cool. If you keep that mentality and you feel you do not need to work on your leadership skills, you will not hold that success. And I do not want to be the one that says I told you so, but I will be the one that says I told you so. It doesn't work that way. Eventually, you have to get good at leadership, or you need to bring in, because your business gets so big, you need to bring in people who are really good at leadership because you fucking suck and you can't grow your business. I'm going to go over this in future episodes, but Steve Jobs is notorious for this. Yes, he was a visionary. Yes, he was very good at running a successful business. He was a shit fucking leader and had to bring a lot of good leaders into his business so he didn't fucking crush it. That is how Apple remained a success. And that is a true story of who he was. Doesn't mean he's a bad person, just a shit leader. And doesn't mean you can't have a successful business. But what he did was he mitigated an area that he was not good in by bringing in people who were good, but he had the money and he had the business. So you either need to get good at leadership or you need to be good at making money to bring people in who can lead your company, which means you still have to be able to convey a mission. You still have to be able to convey a culture. You still have to be able to convey an identity. Okay. That all comes from leadership. You will need that. So at the end of the day, you will need to move into it. So you will run into procrastination, and this is your second tool. You will run into procrastination and internal resistance. High quality leaders know how to move past that. And I like to say they know how to overcome. So your first tool was leveraging imperfection. Your second tool is overcoming procrastination and internal resistance. Good leaders know how to do that. Good leaders do that through awareness. They are aware when procrastination habits come up in their lives. The likelihood is if you're a procrastinator in one area, you're a procrastinator in all areas. Okay? And a lot of times procrastination and internal resistance comes up when we struggle against the knowledge that we have to move forward, or the perceived amount of work in which it will take for us to gain such knowledge to then act. Now go back to tool number one. If you can gain the amount of knowledge between 40 and 70%, it is your duty as a leader to make a decision to move forward or to move on. That is what you should be basing it off of. So, procrastination and internal resistance, usually as the second piece to this, violate the first piece, because you are either gaining way too much knowledge to make the decision and act, or you aren't willing to put in enough time to gain the minimal level of knowledge. And all you're looking at is the complete 100% amount of knowledge that you need. The second one violates the first, and you need both if you're going to be a solid leader in life and in your business or your company. If you're a manager, leaders take initiative. Leaders take the information they have and make the decisions to move the ball forward. And guess what? When you fail, and some good friends of mine who run an amazing leadership company, they talk about failing often and learning from those failures. That is a good thing as a leader, so long as you know how to learn from those failures. So if you are somebody who is fighting against procrastination, which I know a lot of people are, and you don't know how to overcome that internal resistance, which a lot of people don't, you need to look at yourself in the mirror and talk about how you can do better about gaining the knowledge and gaining the ability to be a better leader. That's what it comes down to. There's no hack to this. There are tools, but there's no quick fix. It is putting in the time to understand how to become a better leader, to overcome those internal conversations. And I have some stuff for you guys on this. And I'm going to let you know about it at the end of this. But that is the second tool, learning how to overcome procrastination and internal resistance. Your last piece, the last tool I gave everybody last night was cultivating courage. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this on the show. Courage cannot exist without fear. Fear is the single most potent force that I can think of within a human. Fear engages us, not even just neurologically, it engages us chemically. That's how potent fear is. That's how much fear has been ingrained in our development throughout evolution as human beings. Fear is a powerful tool. It is such a motivating factor that people that say they're fearless are probably the weakest people I've ever met in my life. Because everybody that has fear is going to outperform them every single time that fear is engaged. That is how it works. Fear will push you to do great things. So I say this because you have to, as a good leader, cultivate courage. I'll give you guys another quote before we sign off here in a few. And it was one by Mel Robbins. And this goes for rule number 2, which is the overcoming procrastination and internal habits, but it also goes for cultivating fear. And what she says is if you only ever did things you don't want to do, you'd only ever have everything you'd ever wanted. Let me say that one more time. If you only ever did things you don't want to do, you'd only ever have everything you'd ever wanted. If you can overcome procrastination and internal resistance through the cultivating of courage, you will in return get everything you want in life. Because on the other side of the things you don't want to do are the biggest riches. They're the biggest lessons. They're the biggest gifts. But you have to be willing to get on the other side of them, which most people are not. Most people are not in the business of wanting to cultivate courage to overcome. They are in the business of staying comfortable and not exiting that comfort area. Because as soon as they get to the edges of it, they let the fear overcome them and they forget that they have to cultivate courage. These 3 tools are what really activate a high quality leader. If you've never heard of them or you think they're simple, I would question you, are you even leading? How are you leading? Have you looked at your leadership? They may sound simple, but most people are not applying these in their lives, which is why we have piss poor leaders and you have business owners who cannot scale their business because of the fact that they cannot lead a team for shit. If you are looking to scale your business, I will tell you right now, if you are not a good leader, you are not going to be successful in this. Unless you generated like magically enough money right off the bat to bring in a leader who can take your vision and run with it and who doesn't want to run their own company. Good luck with that. But for the most, everybody out there who's running a business, if you're trying to scale, you need to build your leadership skills. That will pay dividends in your future through massive, massive earnings because your team will understand their objective. They will understand the mission. They will understand the culture. They will understand your brand. They will understand all of it. And they will also feel as though they are part of a team because that is what a good leader does. But as a good leader, you have to start incorporating some of these skills. You need to start working on this. Now, guys, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to leadership. There's so much more to dive into with it. but I'm not going to do it here on this episode. I do want to let you guys know, however, there is a 12-week program that I have being released right now that is going on till September 29th and kicks off September 30th. If you want to learn how to take your leadership to the next level, if you're a business owner who has at least 2 people underneath them and you want to scale, if you are a manager or any type of E-suite person in a company and you want to really improve your leadership, then come join my 12-week course called Independence. It is an in-depth course on how to really, really cultivate strong leadership by first looking at ourselves and then by second taking an outward perspective of where we're going. It is a course that is going to reframe leadership for you so that you can not only lead the companies you're working with or your own company, but you can lead the people effectively and you can be somebody who people want to follow. So if you are interested, make sure you click the link in the show notes, head over to Independence, sign up today. It is not going to be open much longer. We are closing the doors and you guys are not going to have an opportunity to get back in there. Now, if you reach out to me at johnny@johnnylsasser.com and you sign up for Independence and let me know that you signed up through this episode, I am going to give you guys a couple of gifts. One of those will be a signed book from me, and the next one will be something different. So if you're interested in this, make sure you click the link in the show notes, sign up for Independence. It kicks off September 30th, and come join us. Build your leadership, lead your personal life with confidence, and lead your business with confidence. All right, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it delivered something valuable to your life. And remember that the world deserves a better caliber of man. And it's our obligation to give it to them.